In physics, as in every other science, common sense alone is not supreme. There must also be a place for reason. An intellectual experiment is not tied down to any limits of accuracy, for thoughts are more subtle than atoms or electrons. A scientist is happy not in resting on his attainments, but in the steady acquisition of fresh knowledge. Nothing is more interesting to the true theorist than a fact which directly contradicts a theory generally accepted up to that time, for this is his particular work. Every hypothesis in physical science has to go through a period of difficult gestation and parturition before it can be brought out into the light of day and handed to others ready-made in a scientific form, so that it will be, as it were, foolproof in the hands of outsiders who wish to apply it. The roots of exact science feed in the soil of human life. Exact science. What wealth of connotation these two words have. They conjure up a vision of a lofty structure, of imperishable slabs of stone firmly joined together, treasure house of all wisdom, symbol and promise of the coveted gold for a human race thirsting for knowledge, longing for the final revelation of truth. Religion belongs to that realm that is inviolable before the law of causation and therefore closed to science. Religion and natural science are in agreement, first of all on the point that there exists a rational world order independent from man, and secondly on the view that character of this world order can never be directly known, but can only be indirectly recognized or suspected. Religion employs in this connection its own characteristic symbols, while natural science uses measurements founded on sense experiences. Axioms are instruments which are used in every department of science, and in every department there are purists who are inclined to oppose with all their might any expansion of the accepted axioms beyond the boundary of their logical application. There is scarcely a scientific axiom that is not nowadays denied by somebody, and at the same time almost any nonsensical theory that may be put forward in the name of science would be almost sure to find believers and disciples. Ever since the observation of nature has existed, it has held a vague notion of its ultimate goal as the composition of the colorful multiplicity of phenomena in a uniform system, where possible in a single formula. We have no right to assume that any physical laws exist, or if they have existed up to now, that they will continue to exist in a similar manner in the future. Anybody who has been seriously engaged in scientific work of any kind realizes that over the entrance of the gates of the temple of science are written the words, "You must have faith." It is a quality which the scientist cannot dispense with. A new scientific truth does not triumph by convincing its opponents and making them see the light, but rather because its opponents eventually die and a new generation grows up that is familiar with it. Science cannot exist without some small portion of metaphysics. Scientific discovery and scientific knowledge have been achieved only by those who have gone in pursuit of them without any practical purpose whatsoever in view. Science cannot solve the ultimate mystery of nature, and that is because, in the last analysis, we ourselves are part of nature and therefore part of the mystery that we are trying to solve. The law of causality is neither true nor false. It is rather a heuristic principle, a signpost, and in my opinion, our most valuable signpost to help us find our bearings in a bewildering maze of occurrences and to show us the direction in which scientific research must advance in order to achieve fertile results. We cannot hope to find what is assumed not to be existent. An experiment is a question which science poses to nature, and a measurement is the recording of nature's answer. An indispensable hypothesis, even though still far from being a guarantee of success, is however the pursuit of a specific aim whose lighted beacon, even by initial failures, is not betrayed. A process which in no manner can be completely reversed I called a natural one. The term for it in universal use today is irreversible. Thus, from the outset, we can be quite clear about one very important fact, namely that the validity of the law of causation for the world of reality is a question that cannot be decided on grounds of abstract reasoning. The velocity of light is to the theory of relativity as the elementary quantum of action is to the quantum theory. It is its absolute core. The ideal aim before the mind of the physicist is to understand the external world of reality, but the means which he uses to attain this end are what are known in physical science as measurements, and these give no direct information about external reality, are only a register or representation of reactions to physical phenomena. As such, they contain no explicit information and have to be interpreted. In my opinion, the teaching of mechanics will still have to begin with Newtonian force, just as optics begins in the sensation of color and thermodynamics with the sensation of warmth, despite the fact that a more precise basis is substituted later on. If one wishes to obtain a definite answer from nature, one must attack the question from a more general and less selfish point of view. In endeavoring to claim your attention for a short time, I would remark that our science, physics, cannot attain its object by direct means, but only gradually along numerous and devious paths, and that therefore a wide scope is provided for the individuality of the worker. One works at one branch, another at another, so that the physical universe with which we are all concerned appears in different lights to different workers. Physics, it may be urged, is solely concerned with the objects and events of inanimate nature, while a general philosophy, if it is to be at whole satisfactory, must embrace the whole of physical and intellectual life, and must deal with questions of the soul, including the highest problems of ethics. Nature prefers more probable to less probable states. Heat flows from a body of high temperature to a body of lower temperature, because the state of equal temperature is more probable than a state of unequal distribution of temperature. Conscientiousness and truth are as necessary in research in pure science as in practical life. The experimenter must not be blinded by the first results of a new intellectual discovery, and must not neglect to prove conscientiously and thoroughly the results obtained in his researches. Is there something in the nature of man, some inner realm, that science cannot touch? Or, to speak more concretely, is there a point at which the causal line of thought ceases, and beyond which science cannot go? Compared with immeasurably rich, ever young nature, advanced as man may be in scientific knowledge and insight, He must forever remain the wondering child and must constantly be prepared for new surprises.